because he knew how us people get down. I'm gonna say 12 because I got to get out of there by 2.
You give the earlier time.
Yeah. Gino got to be nowhere until 6 o'clock.
I got a serious question for you guys.
What's up?
Why is it that every time I post a photo of myself where I am happy and I want to present myself in a different way, why you call it thirst trap? And when you be posting light skin and posing photos, looking to the side all the time, you be trying to step up your photos with the sunglasses and macho man, and then you want to show your face. Period. Why is it that as a woman, if we want to post something on our own platform, that we just want to just look good?
Because it's sexist.
What if it's just because? What if it's not me setting a thirst trap? What if it's just y'all are just thirsty? In the great words of Lyric.
No, in my story, it's a thirst trap, and I just enjoy.
Says the guy, yo, you be putting out thirst traps every single day. He'd be like, yo,
I post the pictures.
Let me think about the caption.
I post
at the pool party. He didn't want to post a photo with him with a shirt on. He's like, let me post the one without my shirt on. I was like, yo.
Yeah, no, Brandon definitely thirst traps as well.
all the time.
But as far as your pictures go, there's at least
how is thirst trapping at our own event where I'm supposed to dress up?
There's at least a 50% increase in skin.
No.
in your thirst trap pictures.
No, it's not.
Listen,
there's no 50% increase.
There's either like a whole back out or.
But what's the problem with that? Like, why is it? That's not thirst trapping. It's my own platform. You have the right to not come on my platform. You have the ability to not look at it. You just choose to look at it. So you're the one that's thirsty.
So let me understand this. Before you post that picture, you don't say to yourself, "Oh, I'm gonna kill him with this one."
No, I just post whatever. If you look at my platform, I post whatever I want. Look, do you see me? I'm wearing a bandana right now. I give no fucks. I'm gonna put whatever I want.
Brandon, when you thirst trap, with your shirt off.
I don't. Yo, there's.
You don't say, "Oh, I'm gonna kill him with this one."
There's only one picture on my thing with a shirt off picture, and that's me in the pool because it was taken with me being in the pool.
There were more photos.
Yeah, but I didn't share them. And second of all, I'm never mad at the thirst trap. Like, I support the thirst trap.
Okay. No, but that's not a thirst trap. I'm not trying to trap nobody. I'm just being myself. I'm not trapping nobody for likes or for numbers or for anything.
That's the difference. The difference is I know that you're being you.
Oh, here we go.
I look at the third. No, for real.
This dude is backpedaling faster than an NFL DB. Go ahead, man.
I'm doubling down on my statement. I enjoy messing with her when she posts nice pictures. The thirst trap comes in not with you. It's them. They just fall for it and be like, oh my God, and be all like mesmerized and it's like, yo, she just posted.
It's all right.
Yeah.
Future said, God bless all the trappers.
I give you the likes.
It's okay.
No, I had to bring that up though, just because the times that I've posted photos, especially like when I was supposed to post a photo to promote our event, like I'm wearing the clothes. I don't know what you want me to do. Like, do you want me to post you on my thing?
You looked great.
Now that would be trapping. It was the
that would be lost.
It was the crossed legs.
Yeah, that's the lady thing. I can't be out here showing my hoo-ha. Now that's thirst trapping. I was closed legs. I even had the jacket. Y'all weren't. Yo, you guys weren't even ready. If I didn't have the jacket, that would be.
Told us we weren't ready. Told us we weren't ready.
Yeah, you know what? You know what's funny though? I remember during a live show, the second that you came out on stage, somebody was like, "Nice outfit."
Yeah.
I didn't even hear. I was too busy. I was too busy running around.
Yeah.
I was too busy running. But I had to bring it up because this was like the umpteenth time. So I was like, why do you guys always say that about me? But when they're gone, y'all are just saying he's fucking working at McDonald's or something. I was like, I find that interesting.
Manager.
Had to bring that up.
Right.
Oh my God. Well, I will not comment on your pictures anymore. I will just like them and support you.
Oh no, he's gonna correct. He'd be like, "There's a typo in that comment you put on my page. Can you correct it so then I can comment back?"
Listen, I look at that like if you had something in your teeth and I did not let you know that you had something in your teeth and you're walking around life, I can't have you looking like that.
Yeah, he's a real friend, man.
No one's perfect. It didn't say anything crazy.
It didn't.
Just let it rock. Let it rock.
All right. I'll let it rock. How's everyone else feeling today? Everyone great?
Feeling good, baby. Red Bull's all the way in.
Yeah.
Good, man.
Okay. Red Bull's all the way in. Oh, man. All right. Where are we starting?
Well, my name is Erin Ashley Simon.
On my phone. Red Bull's kicking in.
Yo, you gotta
Are you okay?
No, man, that Red Bull's kicking in.
I don't understand adults that drink Red Bull.
Wait, hold on. Can
Before
we
we do
introduce
that,
ourselves?
listen. Thank you guys, as always, for tuning in to Grassroots Podcast. Be sure to subscribe. Hit the notification button to be notified for our latest to the greatest episodes. I am one of the hosts, Brandon Killabh Hall.
I'm Erin Ashley Simon. He has issues. Y'all didn't even hear some of the stuff he
heard
just
it. He
said
heard
right
it.
now.
I heard it. I ignore him. I do.
What'd he say?
He has problems.
It's fine. I ignore him.
Yeah, I do have problems. Larry Shenanigans here. What's up, everybody? Hi, everybody.
Oh, my God. I can't.
I'm Wilson.
Now, what was your question?
Oh, no. I just don't understand how adults drink Red Bull.
What do you mean?
Like what?
It's just sugar. You should be drinking coffee, if anything, if you want energy.
But it has, it's like 5 cups of coffee.
Why are you judging me right now?
B12s and
300%. It's like
Yeah.
If you want B12, take multivitamins.
Why are you judging me right now?
I am judging. I'm judging all adults that drink Red Bull. It's weird.
Itself?
It's weird.
You've never had an energy drink ever?
I never said that.
Okay, I know.
So you're part of
I
the
grew
culture.
up.
I know.
You grew up?
You definitely did not grow up. So, that didn't happen. All right, let's get started. Spotify recently announced their own award show. Less than 24 hours after the 2020 Grammy Award nominees were announced, Spotify has announced an award show on its own. It's called the Spotify Awards. An inaugural ceremony. Wait, what's happening right? Huh? Inaugural. Wait, how do you even pronounce that?
Inaugural.
Inaugural. Like inaugural. What is that?
Inaugural, like an inauguration?
No, inauguration, right? No.
Yeah.
Is that inauguration? No,
Take, take your time.
First time?
Take your
Okay.
time.
Yeah,
Take
that's
your
crazy.
time.
Ceremony that takes place on March 5th in Mexico City.
The pressure is on.
I'm just waiting to finish the article, guys.
Take your time. Take your time. Go ahead, man.
Waiting
Preach,
to finish
man.
it.
Take your time, player.
Anybody else?
No, man.
You sure? Any more outbursts?
in the Aguilera Award.
Oh, so we're doing that now. Okay. No, I see
Go
what's
ahead, man,
happening
finish.
here.
The
Yep,
people
all
wanna-
right.
the people
All
wanna
right.
know. The people
According
want
to a
know.
statement, the Spotify Awards aim to offer a true reflection of what fans are listening to. And this goes on to say that they're based on plays, patterns, habits, things like that.
So like any other award show.
Any other award show. I'm not rolling, just because I know how award shows go. Awards are not determined by a person's accolades or their actual ability to create music. It's more so based off of a company and a label and money and what makes sense from a trajectory perspective. Also, I just know it's a big sham. So I never vest anything in award shows or anything like that. So but
Also,
that's me.
people have to stop putting so much of like who they are onto these award show. It's kind of like if you don't make 30 under 30 for Forbes, it doesn't make you less than anyone, honestly, because we know how this industry works, especially with streaming. Streaming doesn't change anything. The labels, what they'll do, what they've been doing is that they'll either pay someone or what they'll do is they'll get a bunch of playlists. They'll have like 40,000 followers, 30,000 followers, and they'll pay them to put the song on there. And then so if you think about it, if you got 240,000 playlists, or excuse me, 200 playlists that have 40,000 people on it, and you pay to have a song, add that all up, you're going to have well over 1 million plays.
Yeah.
And that's what they essentially do. So even with this awards, it's not even going to be necessarily entirely accurate. Now, what I'm really interested in it is, are they going to implement podcasts as part of the awards ceremony? Because Spotify, that's something that they're trying to push heavily. They're trying to get into, and we're seeing everyone's trying to get into podcasts. So I'm wondering if that's going to be it. Even though, I mean, if we're going to go off of numbers, we already know some of the people who are going to be on the top of that category.
That's what I'm saying. I don't even know. How do you measure that? Because if it's all for listens, there's an upper echelon of podcasts. So how do you measure that, or even set a bar for just phases of, you know what I mean, the height of it? Like, how do you do that, I guess, at some point?
I don't know, man. If Spotify want to impress me, you just why don't you do a live vote? Do a live vote. Have the awards, have the categories, have the participants, and have the people vote live right then and there.
but live where? Because then you got to go from a demographic perspective. I could say, demographically speaking, it would be New York Joe. It would be what else? Brilliant Idiots, maybe. It would be a bunch of other shows. Whereas if I go to the West Coast, it could very well be. Yeah, it could be Joe Rogan. It could be Dame Dash Studios. They have podcasts. It could be a number of things. So I don't know that would be fair if you're talking demographics.
Also, if you're doing top streams overall, I hope they don't have a category like that. And if they do, there needs to be some criteria, because actually Latin artists are the top streamed artists on various platforms. Like, aside from just like Beyonce's and stuff like that, like Latin artists get millions and millions and millions of streams.
Isn't Spotify holding the award show in Mexico City?
Well, that's because Spotify was started. It was started there in 2013.
First one.
The Spotify was started there.
Oh yeah, that's the Aguilera one, right?
Oh my god.
Yeah, he's not gonna let you off the hook for that.
He just won't let me go.
But yeah, I mean that's where it is, and obviously like the Latin community are some of the most active in terms of streaming. Now, obviously they're probably, labels are probably paying to kind of boost it, all of that, but I want to see how it's all broken down. And if they're doing like best new artist, or best new act, then what's the criteria for that? Is that like for a year? Like how many streams they got in a year? Like I don't know. I just feel like because this is so driven on streaming numbers, just like the awards, other awards are driven on numbers and popularity and stuff like that. I feel like I don't know if this is gonna I don't know if it's gonna be the best way to showcase.
Yeah, there's no nuance in it.
Yeah.
You kind of pull, the art out of it in a way. Because somebody could have like one good song. You know what I'm saying? The song may not even be that great. There could be a better song out there artistically. Mm-hmm. But if you're not going to judge handing out the award on that and just based off of numbers, aren't also the same people just going to keep on winning awards over and over again?
That's what was alarming to me when looking at the article. The first thing that stands out is patterns.
Yeah.
Like, patterns can be manipulated. You can manipulate numbers. Everyone knows this, right? There's algorithms across the board any way you see it. That can be manipulated. So to your point, yeah, if I have a smash record and I've already put enough bags in back of it, I've already got enough placements, I've already did a lot of paid ads or whatever else that goes into that these days, yeah, I could outrun and outwork anybody. I would be a shoo-in. My only thing is I'd be just thinking about it, even as we sit here and talk about it, even if they did get it right, would it still be right for us?
And who's us?
Us as consumers, us as and people that consume music. Like, I feel like the only way I think it could be done right is if someone from our culture, creatives, is involved in that process. Because we're living it, right? Like, we know what's happening. We know what it takes to kind of get to the next level. We know what it takes to record and do certain things. So I'm wondering if they've even thought about that. Like, I'm wondering if whomever is at the helm of Spotify saying, hey, we're going to do this award show and we're going to lay all this out, are they factoring in, hey, maybe we should pull in some people that are well-versed in it and can do a much bigger deep dive on the real impact of shows?
I don't know. I'm also curious to know, like, so based off of this Variety article, they said that during the third quarter of 2019, Spotify's total monthly active users grew 30% to 248 million. My thing is, with the number of active users per month, where are they? That's another thing, too. Are they US-based? Are they Mexico-based? Are they... Because also that can affect also how, I guess, they're going to be determining the stream numbers. Are they going to do collectively? Is it going to be based off of what country? Mm-hmm. I mean, there's so many variables when it comes to streaming, and especially back-end data, that there needs to be... I don't know. I guess they're going to say later on what the criteria is or the standards, but I just feel like just saying going off of streaming numbers, I don't... for me, that's just...
It's going to be interesting.
It's good. I wouldn't even say... It's not even just interesting. I think that, like... For me, it doesn't seem credible right now, just because of how we know how the numbers, how our numbers are affected, especially with how the labels, what they do, certain strategies they do to boost numbers. Mm-hmm. Are they going to be able to figure out which numbers are boosted numbers versus what are organic numbers? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you.
That's the hard thing.
Like, they could definitely fix the fight, But I mean, awards overall, do you think they even like benefit artists anymore? I think the Grammys do. Like, if you win like one of the big Grammys, like Best Album of the Year or something like that, it may benefit the artist. But
but even the Grammys, I feel like that. Like for me personally, as big as those awards are and the acclaim that comes with it, I understand it, right? But what does it really matter? Yeah. Like, really, really think about it. What does it matter?
Yeah, like if somebody wins a Spotify award.
That's what I'm saying.
Like,
If awards shows go away completely, does that really impact the artist? Does that really impact the culture?
Then what are we doing it for? Then what are we doing it for, Brandon?
What do you mean, what are you doing it for?
If nobody's getting awards and nobody's getting accolades, how are we ever supposed to know who's good?
You can see it from touring. You can see it from their representation. You can see it from their impact, how they're shifting the culture. Case in point, Hove, right? Hove never took value in the Grammys, and look where Hove is.
But that's what made Hove dope, because he didn't care. He played that persona. He didn't care.
But no, the difference is I don't think it was a facade or persona. I think that he himself probably thinks the same way I think. I don't need a group of people or a panelist of people to determine my fate. They can't give me my value just because I know I have the power to shift the culture.
Well, I'm trying to find the most recent article, so correct me if I'm wrong, but from Billboard on February 5th, 2019, these are some of the people who've never won a Grammy. You have Snoop Dogg, you have Nas, you have Tupac, you have B.I.G., Nicki Minaj, DMX, Busta Rhymes, J. Cole,
Legends.
Ice Cube, A Tribe Called Quest.
Legends.
So it's just kind of like, and those are just some of the iconic people in hip hop. It's just not even music overall.
Like that, and that's my point. Listen to that list. You at no point in your time on Earth will you ever take or take away or subtract what they've contributed to just overall culture. Like, you can't. So why do award shows really matter? Is it something that we've built up because of all of the power that goes into it and the emphasis that's put on award shows because it's award show? Or is it just because we're programmed to think that it really matters when it doesn't?
I think the only thing that's nice about award shows is the performances. The performances are still dope. I wouldn't be mad if they did more performances and just like announce the awards like quick. You know what I'm saying? Like, get them out the way. Yeah. Like,
I mean,
by the way, Drake wins Best Artist and goes straight into another performance.
By the way.
They also actually, the one thing I do like about going off of what Wilson's saying with the performances, they do allow some either newer people or people who enter into scene or people who are like solo for the first time to perform. Like certain award ceremonies. Wasn't one like Normani recently did something and she was able to really hype up that single that she put out. And this was like her own, like she's out on her own,
That was her own,
you know, not part of Fifth Harmony.
That's dope.
I think for having the awards for that, I think is good.
The performance aspect.
Well, not just performance, just allowing like newer acts or people who were in groups and who are solo now to show like this is who I am now. This is my style. Like to really have it on a bigger platform.
They need to do an award show like shaped around like humanitarianism. Like and by
Nobel
saying,
Peace Prize.
But that's different. But the reason why I'm saying that, like, I would give an award to like a Puff for contributing to black culture, or like Hove investing in like companies that try to, you know, defend people that are under fire with legal trouble.
Go ahead.
You want an award show to highlight people's humility?
Yeah. Because we need, I feel like we need more humility in the world.
I had an idea that I wanted to pitch to Puff at some point.
You get a G, right? G gets it.
Go ahead.
The Black Excellence Awards.
But there are people. But there are people that
isn't that BET?
I have to say there are people. But there are.
You know, something that
I wouldn't necessarily like. We should have like maybe a Black Excellence Award. But I also don't want to. There are other people in the community that have helped in the community and helped with black businesses, et cetera, who aren't black themselves.
And that's what I'm saying. I wouldn't want it to just be black, because it's not a black or white thing. I'm just talking across the board holistically. I just feel like there are people that are doing things. Like, I felt like Nipsey should have probably deserved an award after the fact. Like, all that he had done, and then researching and listening to everything that he contributed to people that I personally didn't even know, and a lot of people didn't even know that he even had a relationship with. This was all behind scenes where he was helping to develop people. People like that, I feel like, should be highlighted.
But people like that don't do it for the awards.
I'm not saying they do. I'm just saying that they should be highlighted.
Give them their flowers.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't think. Well, now let me take a step back. Yeah, I do think people do things for awards. Do I think it's the driving force? Like, do I think artists get into the music business to get an award? No. Would it be nice? Yes, of course. Do I think Nipsey, helped people just because he felt like maybe, it could put me in a different light with people? No, I think he just did that out of the kindness of his heart.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. People who do stuff out of the kindness of their heart, they don't do it for recognition. They do it out of the kindness of their heart. Yeah. I think there's too many award shows. That's why nobody cares anymore. Yeah. If everybody's getting an award, everybody's a winner, good job, nobody cares. Oh, you get an award, you missed this award, you missed the Grammy, oh, you get the Billboard. You missed the Billboard, you get the American music. You missed the American music, you get the country music. You missed that, you get the Nickelodeon. You missed that, you get the MTV. Oh, you missed that one, you get the BET. Who the fuck cares?
So I don't think people stop caring because of that.
Yeah.
People stop caring just because of people stop caring because of the friends picking the friends thing or certain projects. That's when they stop caring. Yeah. It wasn't because there's new ones popping up left and right. People started like caring less about the Grammys, started caring less because of just how it's controlled.
So if they had a podcast award and Grassroots won an award, you're not attending?
Yeah, of course I'm going to attend.
You're going to be happy about it?
I'm going to talk shit up. Yeah, hell yeah.
Okay.
But what does that mean?
I mean, he has a point.
I thought you had something against awards, like.
I don't.
It's not a checkmate, Kyle.
You want your podcast award?
No, keeping it a buck. Would it be nice? It's the same thing I said about being an artist, right? I didn't go into this to get an award. Would it be nice? Yes, it would be amazing. We put in a lot of work. I think we all deserve awards, but I'm going in for the long term. I'm going in to make a wave and shift a culture. I'm not going in to say, hey, I want to do all this work and then go into office, hey, I deserve an award. That's the difference there. And I think that's what he's saying. I'm not. So yeah, I'll answer the question for him. Yeah, I would like an award. And yeah, I would smile just like the rest of y'all because I feel like we deserve it. But if we didn't get the award, guess what? It would just make me work harder.
And I'm still going to talk my shit.
So we have a talking point coming from Michaela. So what about the fact that these awards shows are opportunities for artists to speak up on things when they know they have all the eyes directed on that specific award show?
The difference with that, if more artists did that, I would be more inclined to view it, like and be captivated by it. I every time I see an award show, I get up there and say, okay, they're reading from the teleprompter, and yeah, they probably don't mean half of what they're saying, so I don't know. And then again, knowing the business behind it, yeah, you probably don't even like that artist that you're even talking about. You get what I'm saying? Like, yeah. It doesn't come from a genuine place. You know what came from a genuine place, and I hate to say this. I hate to say this shit. I really, really do.
Go ahead.
But Kanye.
I do that.
And the reason why I will give him his flowers is even with the what was it?
You talking about that time they gave him 4 minutes to talk?
Or the Taylor Swift
before he did the
yeah, they was giving 4 minutes. But the Taylor Swift moment.
That was the hint. That was the hint I'm talking.
Yeah, it whatever it was, right? The fact that he got up there and used his speeches or his platform to convey a message, that's a little different, and it resonates with me just because whatever right, wrong, or indifferent, I felt it. You know who else's acceptance speech? For me, you can tell he wrote that. Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry's acceptance speech when he talked about investing in yourselves and black businesses and stop waiting on other people and going to get your own and building your own thing. And he went and bought a whole state damn near. That, for me, more awards like that make more sense to me when I know it's organic. When it's programmed, when I know that there's a board of people that half of those people don't even listen or like hip-hop or just music. Because I'm not going to just minimize it to just hip-hop. I'm just talking about music, records, artists, their impact. It just doesn't sit right with me. Never does.
Y'all ever get upset when you see an award show and they're like, such and such won? You're like, who is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do it all the time.
It's like, who? Well, but you're different, though.
Yeah, you don't know-
You
you
go
don't know
off of the
anyone.
essentials,
You don't know
already
anyone.
create a playlist.
I'm not
like,
gonna lie, and I don't want to. It's gonna come off weird, but MTV and is it the VMAs and American Music Awards. Every once in a while, these little teeny boppers and these white girls come out of nowhere. And Ashley McDonough and her new album, like who the fuck is Ashley McDonough?
Yeah, listen. they announce somebody new every year, and I'm just like, all right, let me turn the channel. Like this is why I just get let down every year.
I swear, I feel like when people are doing the award selection, they're probably like on some like ganja, just like smoking and submitting those things and stuff like that. Because sometimes I'm just like, yo, where you get these people from? Like, who is this person? Who's that person? But actually, speaking about marijuana, did you guys see the House Committee?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How you guys feel about it? It's that one initial step. For those who don't know, the House Committee approved a bill to legalize marijuana federally. Federally means throughout the entire U.S. However, it still has to go through the House, which the House, though, they're saying, since the House is predominantly Democratic, it probably will go through, but the problem is going to be Senate. The Senate is predominantly Republican, so they're saying that if it gets to the House, that they may have to figure out, like, the Republicans don't like the bill as it is now, and they may have to make adjustments in order to potentially get the Senate on it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You know how politics are. But at least that is the first initial step, which is it's either good or bad, depending on how you're viewing it.
Yeah.
Everybody knows how I feel. I think it's bad for our community. And we're going down a road that I don't think people really understand. This is going to be bad for everybody.
Okay, when you say it's bad for our community, right?
Right. I'm not talking, if you smoke weed and that's your thing, cool. Smoke weed. If you have a job and you're smoking weed and your job allows you, cool, dog. You're an adult. You can do whatever you want.
Okay.
But as far as African Americans are concerned,
Go ahead.
Our people, my people, we are behind the 8 ball. As far as education, jobs, and just our placement in American society. Then you add on top of that, and say, here, dog, just smoke weed. And I'm not saying every African American, Wilson. I'm saying overall our community. This is going to hinder us.
If anything, I think that it's going to benefit our community.
How?
Okay. For one, marijuana, it's a medicine. We're already smoking weed, right? Legalizing weed is not as bad as alcohol being legal. Right. Alcohol's way worse for our community.
Agreed.
Okay.
The two aren't even close. So if you legalize weed and allow people to walk into stores and buy weed, right? I don't see how that's a bad thing for our community. Now, if you're talking about the business aspect as far as us being behind, what'd you say, the 8 ball?
Right.
Right. How many businesses are we already behind on the 8 ball? What's the difference?
The difference is we have to strive to get ahead of that. If you're just saying, look at our community overall, man. Just look at the inner city. When people say, I'm going to smoke weed, I'm going to chill out. For me, my opinion, it's killing ambition.
I'd rather people smoke weed and chill out than drink alcohol and wild out.
That's the first thing I think about. As you guys are debating, because this is a really good debate, I'm sitting here thinking, and I'm just asking, maybe Chris can look this up.
Right.
I wonder what the statistics are for people dying in vehicular homicides or things like that, and whether they were drunk or high. I wonder what, like, just people doing things or just doing violent crimes, whatever the case may be.
Well, I heard there was a study that some people are actually a better driver when they smoke weed.
No.
Well, also, we can't, if we're going to say high, it has to be specific,
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying marijuana.
Okay, because I was going to say high on other drugs is a whole other thing.
Yeah, I'm not talking about other drugs. I'm just talking about straight marijuana. What the topic? Marijuana, alcohol.
Well,
what do you think that is?
I think, well, I kind of want to kind of steer away from that until Chris can find that study. And we'll go back to it. But I think legalizing marijuana is a good and bad thing. And this is why I say that. I say it's a good and bad thing because as someone whose mother is sick, the pharmaceutical companies and the pills and that they develop and create is expensive as hell. Like, health and having that insurance should be something that we should have a right to, but we have to pay so much just to even live. And the fact that marijuana is something that is cheaper, at least right now it's cheaper, and that's something that can help my mom with her pain instead of pain meds that they're now taking off the market because Tom and Billy are abusing them in New Hampshire. And now there's an opioid crisis because now it's not only because it's hitting New Hampshire and Vermont. Not that we've never had an opioid crisis when the black community or Latin community or minorities were having that issue. It wasn't until it hit the Northeast area. And because of that now, they took a pain medicine that my mom needs off the market because of people who are addicted. Now, if it wasn't for medicinal marijuana, now that is something that's helping my mom with her pain. And I've heard even stories from doctors about how they've taken some pain medicine off and how there are people that are like struggling because they're in pain all day because they don't have their pain medicine. But now they're starting to give some medicinal marijuana, and that's actually helping some of them. But it's a catch-22 because if you guys go back to the Redman and Method Man interview, Gianni, if you can place it in right here.
It's the same way with this marijuana game. They trying to lock it down. They're locking it down not on the recreational side. They're locking it down medical.
Shaq did car
corporal. All that shit is big business, which they do not need no rap on.
But as you guys saw, they talked about how the pharmaceutical companies are starting to buy up all the land right now. The Rite Aids are starting to buy up the lands so that when it becomes legalized, they will have some quote unquote monopoly or ownership in this. Now, once they do, I'm afraid of that about the pricing or the taxing to it. I know in the bill it said 5% tax for marijuana.
For marijuana.
But if the pharmaceutical companies get a hold of it, especially a lot of the lands in the U.S., I'm a little bit concerned about that. That's something that I'm really worried about.
The one thing I'm worried about with it is us being able to even have access to it. Me doing my own research, you have to have at least $2 million in liquidated assets in order to even be considered to open up a dispensary or even get into the marijuana business. Yeah. So, yeah. So, yeah.
It's just going to widen.
But I'm just saying, just speaking to people that have dispensaries and just doing research, we've already been behind the 8 ball. So what difference does it make?
The gap gets wider.
But it's already wider.
But I'm not talking about medicinal use either. I'm talking about the recreational use because my mother uses medicinal marijuana also to help with her rheumatoid arthritis and a whole list of things that she has. However, recreational use. Now, you look at California, you look at their homeless situation. You look at Colorado and their homeless situation, where both states have legal marijuana use. These states, you can't cope with it. You can't, when people just start moving in, the financial strain that it's going to put, you say, well, it's going to be, I'd rather it be legal and then the cops won't harass us. You're still not going to be able to drive and smoke marijuana. You still, I'm just saying, Wilson, look at it from a point where we have to get better as a community. Mm-hmm. We can't get better if everybody's mind is foggy.
Yeah. But now, as far as like from the business aspect goes, I don't look at it as the gap getting wider or whatever else because, and we can all kind of brainstorm on this, what field do black people, what business field do black people lead in that's like huge? Like, we don't lead in tobacco or nothing like that. This is just another one of those fields. Like, can we name one field that we do lead in? The only thing that we do really, the only commodity that we really do have, and we already sold it off, is our culture.
Yeah, activism. But that's not even necessarily a business. It's just more so.
We'll make money off that. Look at Cap.
They're more
Cap can't even get.
There are more Caucasians at Black Lives Matter rallies than there are African Americans. So we don't even lead in activism.
Yeah, but here, that's what I'm saying. Like, how could we look at this as the gap getting wider if we don't lead in anything? Business-wise.
But who are the ones that are initiating those things? The Me Too was started by a black woman. And it just obviously, as more white people got involved and certain people got involved, of course, it started to diversify in terms of who was there. But it was originally actually started by a black woman.
But isn't that what you want, though, in life?
What?
Like, don't y'all get tired of the black and white conversation? Like the constant.
Yeah, it's draining.
The constant separation. Like, do you ever really? I sit and think about this a lot, yo.
Yeah.
What is the point of not liking someone just because of their race, creed, or color? Like, really think about it. I don't like you because you're black, or it could be reverse. Or I don't like you because you're white, or whatever the circumstances are. What is the point?
I mean, I think sometimes we forget that we're animals.
And try.
You know what I'm saying? Like if a tiger and a lion run into each other out in the wild, like they're naturally probably not gonna like each other, even though they're both big cats.
Where would they meet?
At the zoo. It's a power thing. That's all it is.
Two different parts of the world.
Where would they meet?
It's
Where would they meet?
You would
they'll
say
be
that.
at the zoo. That's all it's a power thing. At the end of the day,
Wait a minute.
at the end of the day, it's a power thing. If they're not going to use your skin color, they're going to use religion. If it's not religion, they would use where you live, what region. It's always going to be a power thing, no matter
Hold on,
what.
the analogy still works because they had to bring us from Africa.
Bro, you're
That's how
already
we
on.
met. So the analogy still works.
I always tell people it takes more energy to hate someone than it is to show kindness
It really
and compassion.
does.
It really
It
takes so
really
much
does,
energy.
man.
Like you literally have to sit there and be like, yo, I hate this person. Let me figure out how to show them that I hate them. Like, no, I don't got time for that. I'd rather just show you, just be like, hi, you know, compassion, careness, giving.
I
like, it's just too
posted-
much.
This is off, but I posted something on Instagram the other day just to see. And I asked just a regular question of, yo, when you scroll on whatever social media platform you use and you see like a positive comment, does that do something for you? And not even 90, I'll say maybe 70% of the people said, no, it's all fake. And they're just doing it. Like, people don't even believe in just being nice anymore. Like,
Yeah.
They don't.
You get them? Like, I was sitting there like, damn, like, word? Like, so even though it could apply, and it's actually probably really good information, depending on what circumstances is, because it's being posted and whoever the person is just constantly doing that could just very well be them, yet you just won't embrace it just because of whatever. It's just interesting.
You know what's funny, and we might want to cut this. I'm not sure, but with you talking about like comments on social media and you see so much negativity and whatnot, have you ever read the comments on a porn website? Like that community is so pleasant. Like they're helpful to one another. Like if you read those comments, like in comparison to like social media comments, night and day.
Well, the difference is, that's really funny. Honestly, though, the difference is, I think, is that
Nah, you never watched the porn video and you be like, I wonder if somebody's thinking the same thing I am.
the difference is, though, yeah, but the difference is this, right? The difference is that when you go there, people aren't angry. They're looking for love. They're looking to experience some
Yeah.
things.
They're probably worn out.
but
they're
you-
looking to relieve some stress.
Yeah, but you see dudes, they be like, what's the name of the girl? And somebody helps. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Like,
I have to admit, or someone would be like, "Oh, this was the most beautiful, well shot thing I've ever
Yeah.
seen." I'm
yeah.
like, "Oh wow."
On Instagram, somebody tag her. Nothing.
Twitter, they do. Twitter, they'll be like, "Yo, who? Find out this person. Find out this person." I just think that we live in a society that negativity is thriving and it sells more. That at this point, it's like, I don't know. Maybe it's a program thing. Maybe we're so programmed to expect things to be bad or negativity that when positivity comes, it's like we still think it's a bad thing
Negativity spreads faster.
Do you think in
because it sells more.
Yeah, I thought about you guys' comments about being primal and you know, just kind of being a certain way. Do you think from birth, not even from being taught or trained behavior, do you think as you're born, and this just thinking, right? As you're born, do you think you are instinctively created to be that way? Meaning, like, you come out the womb and it's like, okay, it's this, and I am whatever person I come out the womb to be.
Yeah.
Right? When you actually get older and you realize, damn, it makes no sense.
No, I don't think that you come out the womb like that. But I do think that, like, even if we look at where racism kind of came from, you kind of like encounter another group of people, they look different than you. I think then there's a primal instinct. You know what I'm saying? Like, but if you like if I go back to the big cats, if that's okay with you, Nas. If you raise like a tiger and a lion together, they're not gonna know the difference. Like they're gonna, you know what I'm saying? Treat each other like family.
Like cats and dogs.
Yeah.
But yeah, but again, it goes back to you seek out like-minded individuals. Like I have a theory, right? If here in the U.S. in America, we say African American, Korean American, Italian American, Ecuadorian American. It's all these subcategories. But if you reverse it and you put American before it, like I'm an American African or I'm American Ecuadorian. To me, you have to say I'm an American first. So once
That sounds like a good campaign, man. I like that.
Yeah, once you recognize that, hey, we're all from this country. These are my countrymen and countrywomen. Then that right there, we're under that one large umbrella in that one tribe. Then I could look at you and say, well, it's kind of hard for me to separate myself from it. As African Americans, we go, well, I'm African American. My people are back in Africa. I've been back to Africa. The only thing I have in common with these cats is our skin color. They're beautiful people. They have a beautiful culture. But as an American, I feel out of place in Africa because it's unfamiliar to me.
Well, it's also could be their energy that they give off to you, right? Like you could look like the person that don't belong just because your energy is different.
Well, no, I come there with open arms.
That doesn't matter. You stink of the U.S.
People don't like us.
Yeah, well, listen.
Finally, somebody else says it. Like, what's the thing of that? Nas stinks of U.S.
Listen, man.
It's the truth, though.
Why, you know why I do? Because this is not only this is our country. I'm not going to be afraid to go to Wyoming, Montana, Idaho. We helped build this. African American. They say, oh, African Americans don't have any culture. We move American culture. Everybody moves off of us.
Yeah,
from music, from fashion.
Yeah.
This is our culture. We are the new wave. We have been the new wave.
We're actually the world's culture.
Yeah, exactly.
Look at when you look at like China, other places, they're all emulating
Fashion.
black culture.
K-pop started from b-boy, and b-boy is because of hip-hop.
You know a black man created kung fu? From what I heard, I check that too.
I checked that too.
But but seriously, think about our influence. And people say, "Well, you don't have any culture. You're the lost tribe." Say, no, we create culture. We have created our own. We've created a whole music industry, from jazz to rock and roll to R&B to hip hop. We have created our culture from infancy.
And while that all is beautiful and very, very accurate, it doesn't matter.
Why not?
Because the reality is, you need to be scared going to Ohio and all these other places. You need to be aware of what the climate is. And that's just
Allah, that's it.
Huh?
I fear Allah, that's it.
I hear you. and even with that, you still are a target. You're more of a target than you think. That's like a double whammy. You're black and Muslim.
Yeah.
You know how many people hate Muslims just because of 9/11 and everything else that has occurred?
And even with that, they're miseducated.
That's my point. That's my point. Like, regardless, I don't like dealing in those types of variables. I'm talking about like what is, and what is right now is the fact that you need to be aware. You need to know what the climate is. You need to understand what's happening.
Are we all gonna die?
Of course. Why are you asking
No,
stupid
I'm gonna get
questions?
picked up by aliens.
Yeah,
I don't
like
know
the
what you're
fuck.
talking about.
I'm gonna be reincarnated.
Yeah, exactly. So there's no need to be scared. We all gotta go sometime. Nobody knows what day, what hour, what minute. Why would I be scared? If you're gonna do something, here I am. I'm regular Nas. I live in Mount Vernon. Come at me,
You
bro.
don't live in Mount Vernon. Why do you
But-
keep
They don't know
saying that? You don't live there.
I think what we have to understand is like we as people are different. Most people are not like us. Most people are followers. Most people are prideful. Some are egotistical. And a lot of people are afraid of the unknown, and people are afraid of identity crisis, not knowing themselves, not knowing. The fear of not knowing is, I can even say, as even as close sometimes as to people's fear of death. Because death is an unknown to people. And even if they are religious, right, there are still people that are still afraid of death. So I think the fact that, for example, if someone is afraid of you is because they don't know. it's the quote unquote unknown when it comes to them knowing the Muslim religion, knowing who you are. Are you a psychopath? Are you a sex trafficker? Like all this stuff, right? And I think that that's the ultimate thing. Is like
she said he was a sex tracker. I could see that.
Not trafficker, tracker.
Tracker.
Yes.
I could definitely see that. I could definitely see
But
that.
Having
I
sex.
think that like
Somebody's having sex.
I think you know, and I understand what you're saying, but I feel like we're in a period of time is that we're doing all of this like, well, this is how it should be, or this is how it should be, or you know, Black people, we created the culture. I think that there needs to be a more understanding of what actually is going on and what we can fix and what we can't fix. We can't change everyone because, like I said, a lot of people fear death. A lot of people fear the unknown. A lot of people fear us because we're Black. We can't change everyone, but there's certain people that we can. I always say that there's a difference between racism and ignorance. Ignorance can be changed. Racism, it may be able to change, but a lot of times it takes that person to change themselves in order to change and take the racism out. So I think that, like, especially with what we're talking about in terms of just the fearness of going to Ohio and stuff like that, like, we as people have to just realize the climate and situation and what we're in right now and what we can handle and what we can't handle. And if there's things that we need to change later on, we should. I think that a lot of times, sometimes we live in such a society where we're just like, we're so much thinking about like, oh, the perfect society or how things, but that's not how it is now. I think we need to be more in the present. Us as people, we have problems holding on too much to the past and focusing too much in the future that we're not even able to fix what's going on in the present.
Be aware. Be present.
You have to be more. We have to be more present as people. To be honest,
I agree, and I also think that we need to start protecting our culture a little bit more, because let's say if Jewish people were the leaders in music and they were the ones who were like creating all the new dance moves and all that other stuff, you would have to go to them to get it. They wouldn't sell it off the way how we did.
but was it being sold off because of the lack of education, or is it sold off because they didn't want to be a part of it no more? Because there have been situations where people have sold companies off, but it was because of just the lack of education of where potentially something can go.
I agree.
And on top of that, too, if our own community is saying, why are you doing that? That shit's whack, da-da-da, and then they sold it off because they don't want to deal with that, then we are our own worst enemies. We can't constantly blame everyone outside when we ourselves are part of the problem.
Got to look in the mirror, people.
Well, I don't know. Even when I look at like today's music, right? Everybody, you know, there's certain people that complain about today's music. Oh, it has no substance, this, that, and other, like Nas. You know what I'm saying? So
Regular Nas, correction.
But I think the reason for that is that we've chased money so much. It's to the point where people from outside the culture have figured out I can control, like, let's say rap music, right? Instead of having to, you know, find somebody that actually, you know, maybe like a wordsmith or whatever else, it's harder to control those people because those people, they know their worth. You know what I'm saying? They'd rather make a star who may not have as much substance. And if they start to fail, they could just make another one.
But what if it's like we have been, I wouldn't say programmed, but historically as Black people, so around slavery time, right? You had to pay for your freedom. No, I'm just saying just because of where the ideology may come from in the sense of paying for your freedom.
Yeah.
You either had to work off debt or have someone buy your freedom. So I can understand why money, as a community, we view it as that sense of freedom, as getting out of somewhere, getting out of the hood, getting out. Money is us buying, quote unquote, our freedom in a sense. We have to figure out how do we change that ideology where we value something else that will lead us towards our freedom or lead us towards a better life. Because historically, money was the thing that helped us get out of our shackles.
Yeah.
So how do we change that though?
I don't know.
You did that long ass breath in my ear for you to just say you don't know, like that dramatic as a.
Yo, she took it all the way. She took it all the way back to slavery.
Yeah, but
that's
at least
that's where it started.
At least fight back. Don't just give me the gasp and like, oh my god, this. Yeah, I don't have anything. Like,
well, look, I'm more so talking about like music, and I think that we've gone too far. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, we're always gonna take money.
The difference is just kind of piggybacking off of at least in my perspective, or just the way I feel, it's ignorance, right? It's the same way where artist goes and you hear all of these new artists horror stories all the time, right? You go and you get this lump sum of money from a record label. You then, you get pretty much everything you want in an hour, and with no guidance, coming from a horrible background, horrible support system. So you're set up from go to kind of make these bad choices. But you do that in hopes, again, to buy your freedom, right? Artists are slaves to labels. It's a fact, right? The moment you sign that contract, no matter what, yeah, you're locked in. There's ways around it, obviously, but it's still a fight. You are now enslaved to a label. Yeah. And so because of that, you give up certain rights. That's just the nature of the business.
But I also think that we've become slaves mentally. Because you can hear some songs. I'm not gonna, point out any artists, nothing like that. You can hear some songs where, this song sucks. But everybody's rocking to it in the club. And it's like, do these people really like this song, or they just hear it all the time?
Well, they hear it all the time.
Or is this just like new thing?
It's a number of things. I'm just talking about just the ignorant piece of it, because that is really, really important. The ignorance of doing business in certain terms, it can affect you long term, not knowing it, right? Yeah. Regardless of that, it's one of those things where you kind of know what it is, and you should have a plan to get out. Yeah, like you should plan to be as ignorant as possible going into the music business, and get and retain as much information as possible trying to exit the music business. Now,
you're right, but you're speaking from the artist standpoint. I'm speaking from our culture standpoint, like us, the consumer, black consumer.
Okay.
We support things that, look, whatever we support is going to go. Right? Mm-hmm. Look at what we're supporting.
Trash.
Twerk videos.
There's some music those are a bop, like Baby Shark. That's a bop.
But you know what? Speaking of what Will says, I saw my man sent me a video of this dude arguing with this lady about, he gave her a couple of $100, right? And she thought it was fake. She was ripping it, marking it up, trying to see if it's real. He's sitting there yelling at her, the money's real, I'm not giving you new bills. And he has clothes on the counter. This woman wasn't black, wasn't African American, but here he is begging to give money to this woman for clothes, when you could just say, all right, my money's not good enough. Let me take my money. Let me go to one of my homeboys who started his own clothing line and spend all that bread with him.
But see,
and that's what Wilson is talking about with the cult, giving our culture away.
But why are we not going to factor in certain variables? Let's say they only had enough money to get to that particular establishment, and that's all that they could afford. So they just have to deal with it.
Or let's think about the fact that most people are followers. There's very few people in society and around the world that are leaders. That's why there's only a few people who are CEOs. There's why there's only a few people that are high ups. We have to keep in mind that not everyone is meant to do certain things. Not everyone's meant to be a leader. Not everyone's meant to be a CEO. Not everyone's meant to start a podcast.
I'm glad you said that, E. All these people talking about, we came from kings and queens. No, some of you motherfuckers were sheep herders, man. Some of you people were herding goats, B. Picking beats back in Africa. Am I lying?
No, but he's right.
I'm rocking with you.
Everyone has, and the same way that we all have roles in work life, we all have roles in society and life.
Yeah.
There are some people that are meant to lead a movement. There are some people that are just meant to follow and help amplify it. There are some people that are meant to develop a black business that will thrive, and there are just some people that are just there to just sit there. Yeah. I mean, we just have to keep that in mind. I mean, that's part of the problem why we constantly, anytime there's a celeb, a black celeb or someone, we're like, oh, push this movement, push.
Goals. I hate
goals.
Not
every celeb is and to be honest, not every celeb is a leader.
Yeah.
Some of them are manufactured. Some of them are just following what the label told them to do. Yeah. Not every person, and we have to keep that in mind. And that's what bothers me, especially when as our community, as we're trying to build things, we have to understand who is meant to do what. Because if we constantly go to the wrong person to lead a message, we're going to be stuck in the same rut. Yeah. Because we're expecting Jonathan to lead, but when in actuality, he's like, I'm just here so I don't get fined.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to give him a blacker name than Jonathan.
Why? I'm Erin, and I'm black. Why would I? What's wrong with that?
I'm just saying. See? He could have threw out Tyrone.
No. I mean, one of the biggest black
That's what I'm saying.
but one of the biggest black advocates. Martin.
I agree with your point.
Martin.
I agree with your point.
Martin Luther King Jr.
Martin.
His name is Martin.
I agree.
Kind sir. You're gonna go with
saying.
blackness, Martin.
I'm just saying,
It's
if you're
not
doing a
quite
black analogy.
black.
His real name is Michael, by the way. He changed it. Martin.
Wait, who?
Still same thing. Michael and Martin.
Martin Luther King.
His real name's Michael. Why did he change it to Martin?
After Martin Luther. His father changed it after Martin Luther. Do your research.
Why are you bobbing your head like that?
He's been singing the Martin theme song this entire time. That's why.
But yeah, I just think that especially when it comes to these societal things, we have to break it down into bits and pieces, right? We could say, hey, spend more money on black businesses, but it's not as simple as that. We have to break it down into a more bite-sized things that we can accomplish and adjust and fix. We can't. You could tell everyone. You could tell people to go spend money on a certain artist or certain black, but we all know that, like, even when it comes to the certain quote unquote trash music, right? Mm-hmm. The one thing I have to give kudos to some of this trash music is the build up and what they do to get the influence. Some of them pay, but there are some people that do it the organic way. Mm-hmm. I mean, there are people that say we're trash, and there's people saying that we bought our way with guests and et cetera, but we did it. We did it the right way. And also, they don't know, like, we have experience in marketing, so yeah. So, but I think that I had to. Yo, for people who said we bought stuff, we bought guests. Y'all don't know nothing.
I just laugh.
But look at it. People look at us instead of being like, oh, another black podcast is succeeding. They want to say that we're cheating.
Yo, don't.
Or that we're that we're buying our way, or that we're faking the numbers. That's the problem. It's like we have to break it down into bite-sized pieces that we can fix, and people have to understand how things work. Understand how it works before you say anything. And that's where it goes back to the ignorance part. And
just sign off. If I'm going to support a black business, make sure the quality is there. I don't try to take advantage of my blackness. Say, oh, yo, brothers got to look out for brothers. If your quality is not there, I'm not going to spend. Not for real.
No, I 100% agree.
No,
I
agree. Yo,
And
people take advantage of your blackness. Yo, come on, Brandon. Help a brother out.
No, that's true. Another side note, though.
I'm the first person to not help you out if you hit me with yo, we're brothers. Don't do that. That shit annoys me.
Wait, but what?
Yeah,
but in what way though? What if it's like, okay, what if it's
the way?
No. I say it because sometimes from a resource perspective, right? They could be like, this is the foundation, but they'll show you what they plan on doing if you invest in it in the appropriate way.
No. What you're talking about is great. What we're talking about is just like the whole
quality.
The black.
Oh, like this is it.
Yeah, like
Put
yo.
some letters on. Bam.
Yeah,
like black owned.
Like
brother.
yeah, this is black owned. You should support this because me and you are
If you
the same.
if you
like
selling
that
t-shirts,
conversation. Yeah, no.
If you selling t-shirts, make sure that cotton, that's 100%
Yeah,
cotton, dog.
like-
Make sure that's soft. Make sure it fits good, man.
Yeah. Does anybody else think that Nas rides around with the Martin theme song playing in his car?
He has
on a loop.
He got way too
I feel like
excited.
that's his vibe. Like he just on a Sunday morning.
I just don't want him to move his neck like this anymore the whole time singing and shit. Like, look, it's stupid. Hold on. So really quick before we get out of here, let's talk about everything's coming to a close. It's about to be 2020.
The Roaring 20s are back.
Yeah. So
Get your Stetsons and your fedoras.
let's.
But before all that, we just gonna skip over Thanksgiving, Christmas.
No, we're not there
Let's
yet.
talk about Thanksgiving.
No, we're not talking about Thanksgiving.
Happy Mass Murderers Day, everybody.
Oh my god.
I was just gonna have Puerto Rican
Pretty
food, but okay.
accurate though.
Okay.
Watch out for them blankets.
It's an accurate description.
Oh my god.
I love Thanksgiving. I love it. I love it. That's one of my favorite holidays, man.
I
All
think
the food.
I think we got it.
Yeah, I do. I like Thanksgiving, not for just the historical background, but the fact that it's a family getting together.
Yeah.
It's like the food just tastes different on Thanksgiving. Yeah. I don't know what it just tastes
the
different.
memories, man.
It
Memories
is
kicking in.
delicious. And they constantly disrespect this holiday. They already playing Christmas music at the top of November.
Yeah. We're mad disrespect to Thanksgiving. Man.
They said, what? Forget Thanksgiving. Mariah Carey's here. So what were you saying? End
saying
of the
close out-
decade,
close out?
2020?
I don't even remember.
2020?
I honestly don't even remember at this point.
2010? Yeah, you remember.
Oh, who were the top
Oh yeah,
acts?
top acts.
There we go.
Decade. No, don't. There we go. Who are you guys putting in your top most influential top acts?
You want me to go first?
Yeah, Yes, essential.
You don't know.
man,
Hold on.
he's
If you're going
he's
to
going
your,
to the top artists on fucking Spotify or
if you
Apple
go to
Music
top,
right now.
if you go to your essentials list yet again, fam, we're skipping over you.
Nas stays on the essentials.
Yo,
list.
he is the essentials guy.
Top artists, my top 5 for the 2010s, right?
Patti LaBelle. Aretha Franklin.
First of all,
Maybe some Carl Thomas if I'm feeling spicy.
easy people Bryson.
All right, go ahead.
All right? Yeah, damn, these kids are young.
They don't know. They don't
They
know.
don't even know what that was. Now, in all honesty, I got Taylor Swift, Adele, Beyonce, Drake, and Kanye. They control the 2010s.
Say that list one more time.
The 2010.
Who's that?
Yeah.
Who's
Taylor
that?
Swift,
Okay.
Adele, Beyonce,
I wouldn't say Adele.
Drake.
No,
yeah, I'm on the
And
fence with
Kanye.
Adele.
I'm not on the fence with Adele. I'm okay with Taylor Swift.
I would say Beyonce
I would
before
say
Adele.
Beyonce. Yeah. Oh, wait. Are we? This is in
No,
order. I'm
that
not
wasn't
going.
in
I'm not.
order.
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
that wasn't in
See
order.
now, but
I was about to
when I
say.
go control the 2010s, I more so look at influence.
That's what I'm talking. That's what I'm thinking.
I don't think Adele
No.
influenced like.
No.
Rolling.
Don't get me wrong, she's a monster.
How do you
Rolling
not have Hove in there?
Yeah, you didn't put Hove in there.
444. How do you not have Nipsey in there? Yeah,
I love Nipsey.
fam.
Influenced the 2010s though.
Guys, why are we forgetting Rihanna?
Okay.
I didn't. Yeah.
Who would-
Yeah.
All right, there you go.
She had a bigger 2010 than Taylor
Rihanna
Swift.
had a bit.
I could say
Rihanna influences the culture way more than Taylor
Fenty,
Swift.
what else? Taylor Swift
the
right now
latter
is tweeting
part.
because she can't even put out her old music.
The latter part of the 2010s, from like 2016, 2017.
Better late
is
than
Rihanna.
never.
Yeah, but that the better the first half of the decade. Come on, man.
Okay.
let's be honest.
All
Let's
right,
think.
so-
Hold on.
so-
What do we? Hold on. Wait. Let's
What's the
get.
criteria?
Let's get.
What's the-
What's the
what's
criteria?
the
That's what I was about to
criteria?
say. What are we measuring this by? What are we doing? Is it just impact? Is it music? Is it influence? Is it affluence?
Who you got? E.
I'm going influence.
Okay. So
You
you're
know what I'm saying? Like
Wait, influence or impact? Which one are we doing?
influence and impact are kind of one and the same.
no.
Impact.
No influence.
Why not?
No, because you
Input-
can make an impact, but you may not be the most influential.
Yeah.
Adele made
correct.
a big wave.
Well, then how do you define impact?
Because you can impact someone who is the most influential.
Because and second of all, you start at impact and then you transcend to influence.
From consistency, Wilson. That's what he's trying to say.
Look at, for example, Lil Nas X made the most impact starting out. He wasn't the most influential. Now he's becoming influential
Yeah.
because the initial impact he made. But no one knew who he was before.
Okay.
So what are we? Which one are we doing?
So I say we go influence.
Influence?
Anyone can make an impact. I could go viral today and then I've made
So-
it.
so
the most
impact is
influential,
numbers.
hands down, Rihanna.
Yeah.
Rihanna's definitely one of the most influential. I feel like I don't know. I
Over
feel like in
Beyonce?
2010.
No, Beyonce's in there too.
Oh no, I didn't say. I didn't.
Oh, my fault.
Whoa!
I'll fall back.
Whoa! You were triggered. My
Yeah.
gosh, I couldn't even get one of them. He's
the
like,
bees will hide.
I'll be sure.
bees
Yeah,
will
I know
hide.
you're a wordsmith, so I'll be sure to
whoa!
pronunciate
What are you
words
talking about? I
much
said
better, or
Beyonce
pronounce
before.
words much
I was
better.
the first one that
I was
said
gonna make sure because
Beyonce.
the
What are
bees
you
will
talking
hide.
about?
The bees
Jesus.
will
Bro,
hide.
you didn't even bring up Beyonce. I was
did.
the one that did.
I actually
All
did.
right, so in 2010, actually,
Roll that back. I did.
no, I had to correct you. I said it. All right. Anyway, I would actually couple Beyonce and Jay together
That's what I'm doing.
for the decade. I
That's
would
what I'm
couple
doing.
them together.
100%. That's what I'm doing.
This is disrespectful on so many levels.
Well, how's it disrespectful? They're
How?
married.
But they're both artists in their own right and influential in their own
Why?
right.
But why can't we couple them
They-
together in
and-
terms of the impact as a couple
And
that
second
they've
of all,
had?
if we're saying anything, they,
Are we doing that to squeeze them both in?
They put a joint album out together. So we could technically.
that was one album.
It doesn't matter. They had a whole movement with that.
One album every 10 years? Oh, nobody got that reference?
Nas, we get it because you're Nas. You wanted to give the Nas. Like we got it. It's fine. Wow.
That was pretty cool.
It wasn't cool. It was mad obvious.
I like that.
It wasn't. He didn't even finish. He didn't even say the bar right.
I didn't.
He didn't.
Chris Easy.
I'm not even gonna lie, it went over my head.
I don't think putting
I'm not-
Beyonce.
But
But then when you explained it, I was like, oh.
I don't think putting Beyonce and Jay-Z together is a bad thing at all.
That's
First of
not
all,
a
they're
bad thing.
married. We're not negating the impact they both had individually. I just think that just the influence for what they've been doing, from the scholarships to Coachella, like all this stuff that they've been together as a couple, I think has been so influential.
I think bigger than that, they've taught people forgiveness in relationships, black empowerment, stuff like that.
Look at you.
know what I'm
Nice,
saying?
kind words. Kind words.
I was just
kind
waiting.
words.
I was like,
waiting
I'm
for him
here.
to be like, no.
I was like, where's this going?
No, man, I love BNJ.
Good. Would you put oh. Wow. But then what if it's an H though? So
There we go.
who's someone that would be like borderline that we could argue? Because I feel like we're bringing all the people like, yeah, the Drakes, the Beyoncés, the Rihannas, Jay-Z. Like these are ones we know, like we all know. Who would be one out there that would be like kind of
That was
like,
influential.
ooh.
SZA.
For the whole decade.
SZA's a monster.
I thought,
but no, not for the decade.
It was the whole decade, right? The 2010s.
I'm just saying.
Am I hold
on.
Listen,
Time out. Brandon does have a point.
listen.
As far as R&B female acts go,
Yeah,
she was the greatest.
And then changing that wave, I can also say her. The Weeknd. Sleeping on her.
Ooh,
Are we-
that's the
The
Weeknd.
okay.
I'm not rolling.
If you're gonna throw Weeknd, I gotta put up Lady Gaga.
I'm not rolling. What has the Weeknd done?
Yo, yeah.
What has the Weeknd done to impact the culture? Makes great music, amazing artist. What has he done?
Are you talking about music or just hip hop? Because you guys are just.
Influential wise?
You already
I-
brought up. I mean, the Taylor Swifts, the Adeles, Lady Gagas. We can't add them because those are clearly like very influential people.
Yeah, but
We're saying borderline.
The reason why I said
I'd take my picture.
the reason why I said
No, I'm reiterating what you said.
SZA. The reason why I said SZA is because I felt like she was one of the first, and I could be wrong. I'm sure we missed everything. Well, I missed everything. I'll say. But for me, she was one of the first female artists, new artists that came out and really was impacted by, like,
Ooh, I got one.
by like the culture and just social anxiety, and started to kind of talk more openly about it and open the door for that conversation.
I got
think.
one. Young Thug.
I
I'll give you that.
Young Thug.
I'll give you that.
Because
I'll
he
give
has
you that.
what Gunna.
Yeah.
Well, Gunna is like
But
associated with
more
him
than
and a few
that,
others.
more than that, him coming out wearing the dress and all that.
Yeah, I can say-
I can see that.
Then
I can
Jaden
see
Smith
that.
Yeah.
did it. Then you got people painting their fingernails and all that.
Yeah.
I almost cursed.
Painting
No.
fingernails, Dennis Rodman did that. Wearing a dress, Dennis Rodman did that.
What's your point?
What's your point?
We're talking about 20. Hold on. We're talking about music in 2010s.
You acting like he was the first to do that.
In music,
Well, what about songwriters? Like,
Dennis Rodman hasn't even played basketball for the last decade.
It's still more impactful.
You're just.
all
being a
right, well,
jerk.
let's get away from sports. Let's get
I'm
back.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Also, you could argue this. You could argue this. If we're gonna talk about influence, Party Next Door. Party Next Door wrote some of the biggest hits in this past decade. He was one of,
I hear you, but them new party records ain't it.
But it has
Oh.
no. But we're talking about just the influence that he's had on the industry. We didn't say impact. We said influence.
All right, so wait,
He's
let me-
helped to
time out.
write.
Let me
He's
finish.
helped to write some of the top
Hold on.
songs.
Hold on, I'm about to get Party Next Door out of there because we have to talk about the king of R&B. That's Frank Ocean. Period.
What?
Frank Ocean is the king of R&B. I don't want to hear about Jacquees. I don't want to hear about Chris Brown. Love them both. Extremely
No,
talented.
I'm not giving you that.
King of
I'm not giving you that. Why are you calling him the king of R&B?
You were just playing that BJ the Chicago Kid song.
Yeah.
That was Frank Ocean-esque.
The king of R&B
So
is
what?
out
Without
of
a
this.
doubt.
Wait. We're
No,
getting
hold
out
on.
of the
Yeah,
decade.
yeah, yeah,
King of
wait,
R&B
wait,
is out of the
yeah,
decade.
yeah,
We're talking
yeah.
about the decade.
Wait, how's that? He dropped Blonde in this decade.
Because King of R&B can be is when you say the king or the top echelon, like it is across all decades.
got Drake
We're
booed
talking
off
about
stage.
one. We're talking about one decade. Oh, no,
In his absence, Drake got more slaps than the Beatles. Booed off stage. Because of Frank. Not Frank Sinatra. Not a delicious ballpark Frank at a BBQ with all your great friends. Frank Ocean. Who's bigger than Frank?
Name me Frank Ocean's last single that he released.
In My Room.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Chris.
Brandon, you're wrong.
No.
Trust me, you're wrong.
I know I'm wrong.
I know. And before that, it was DHL. Come on, buddy.
We can't
Those
call.
weren't good. Those weren't good records.
Matter of opinion.
I know. I hear you.
Okay.
I don't know
You know
why
I'm
we're
right.
talking.
You know I'm right though. You know I'm right. You know I'm right.
I fuck with
We're
DHL.
getting way off
DHL's
track.
alright.
In my room,
Way off
saying
track.
He's saying that Frank controlled the decade for R&B.
and if we're talking about writing,
No. He said king of R&B.
What?
Let's add
hold
clarity
on.
to this
Yeah, yeah.
conversation.
Hold
We're
on.
talking about decades. Stick in the decade.
We're in
let's
the
stop.
decade.
Let's stop jumping all over the place. I got to be the one that brings us back.
Hold on, how is Frank
top
Ocean not in
artist
the-
in the decade? Do not say king of R&B. Top artist in the decade.
he's a top artist as well.
He's not the top artist.
He has the best pen in the game.
He doesn't have a better pen than The Dream. He does not.
Okay, that's arguable.
Ooh,
He does
The
not.
Dream.
But
The Dream
I'll
wrote a
argue
lot of
this.
hits.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about. Dream wrote a lot of
I'll argue this.
Don't do that. He doesn't have a better pen than Neo.
He has a better pen than Dream. Personally,
who
to me,
does?
But
Frank
Dream,
Ocean,
but
he's
Dream.
saying.
Hold on.
Are you crazy?
Hold on. But Dream writes more records for other people.
So what? We're not gonna measure. We're not gonna measure
But
that.
if Frank Ocean wanted to,
We're not talking about what ifs. We're talking about what is.
Remember,
what
guys,
is? He can't hold. He
in the
can't.
present.
He can't.
well, now I
hold-
have to count what he wrote for himself.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Let's talk about what is. What is? If you want to throw in that measurement of writing ability, yeah, no. Dream writes amazing records. Neo writes amazing records.
Absolutely.
Like,
But they're not Frank.
So if they change their name to Frank, then they're Frank then.
what if they name the record Frank?
But you want to even. But hold on.
What about that?
Hold on.
What about that?
But time
What if
out.
they name the album Frank?
Hold on.
What are you
Then
gonna
what?
say now?
Hold on, because I'm not even gonna let you do that because you wouldn't compare them to Frank Ocean as a songwriter and performer.
I wouldn't compare who.
The Dream, or who's the other person
But
that
that's
you?
changing
But
the
you
criteria.
started with songwriter
Yeah, you're talking about
though.
songwriting. Don't change the
No,
criteria.
I just mentioned one of his accolades.
And I threw out an accolade of someone that could match that and be better than that. That's what I'm saying. Don't
Okay.
change the criteria.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
But Frank is still
so
up
yours
there.
is Frank. That's fine. None
Y'all
of us.
hopscotching right now.
So who you got? Who no? Brandon didn't go. Who are your five?
My five.
I can't wait to shit on these.
Word.
I'd love to see you try. Hove, Nipsey. If I'm going female, it's got to be Beyonce, but close second with Rihanna.
Influence? This is off of influence?
Yeah,
Okay.
off a straight influence. How many is that? 3 I gave you. Who else am I thinking of right now?
I'm gonna let you
For
finish.
influence.
Hove, Nipsey, Rihanna.
I would also say Kendrick. The reason I would say Kendrick is because simply his movement towards black empowerment about unifying, his big stance on the award shows. So that's 4. I got to give you one more. If I'm giving you one more from an influence perspective.
Didn't you say Beyonce?
No, he's saying Beyonce, but Rihanna would be a second if we're talking about female.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beyonce, Nip, Hove, Kendrick. Okay.
Yeah. The last person I would give you from an influence perspective.
Can I challenge you?
Oh, I'm definitely gonna.
Hold on. Let me say his fifth.
Let me
No,
just think.
not challenge to his pick. I don't like challenge in terms of picking someone that we wouldn't think of.
That's what I'm thinking now. That's what's taking me a
Hold
minute.
on.
Just give
Wait,
me a
who do you have so far again?
Just give me a second. Well, you figure it out.
Hove,
I'm gonna think
Nipsey,
about who would I select.
Rihanna
Yes.
and Kendrick.
Oh my God, I'm
No,
gonna eat you alive.
It's Hove, Nipsey, Beyonce,
Oh,
Kendrick.
my fault.
Before you even do this,
Killer Mike. Killer Mike.
hold
Talking
on.
about influence. He's talking
Killer
about
Mike.
influence though.
Killer Mike.
Hold on.
Whole
For the whole decade?
Okay, so
Yeah.
so let me
For the
understand this. Let me
decade.
understand this. There's no Kanye, no Drake in your top 5 most
Well,
influential for the decade.
The politics scene, Killer Mike was
started out
involved.
this conversation by excluding them. We said
Okay, they're
we
excluded.
said the Kanyes and the Drakes of the world are
Okay.
the obvious people. Of course, I would.
Okay,
have
so
them
Beyonce's
in.
out of there. Okay.
Of course, I would.
I'm
have
sorry,
them
I missed
in.
that part.
Like,
Yeah, I said that earlier. Where I like, there's ones that we clearly know, the Drakes, the Beyonces.
Yeah, I'm not talking about those. I'm talking
like-
about the people that are getting honorable mention that really should be in there if we're widening the parameters.
And-
That's what I'm
and-
talking about.
Okay. Man, there's
So
there's no way to say this without it sounding disrespectful.
Yeah, let's go.
There's no possible way. I gotta say it though. Can we talk about some Nip? I love Nipsey Hussle, man.
Mm-hmm.
He was incredible. He didn't get the flowers while he was still here.
True, he did not.
He did not.
You're right.
He didn't. He did not get those flowers. I wish he did. And I love going back to listen to his catalog and everything. I'm like, man, this guy was This guy was incredible. But are we really going to put him on the most influential list, your top 5, for the past decade?
100%, because it took for him to lose his life to have one of the most biggest impacts ending this year that created the biggest ripple in the world.
So you're going to put him,
He filled up the Staples Center with a funeral.
Yeah, but
that sold out in less than 24 hours, and his legacy still lives on just from him talking about black empowerment.
Let me just get this straight. We're talking about influence on the culture.
Yes.
Over the past 10 years.
That's what we've been talking about.
We're going to put him over, and we're talking about music. We're going to put him over Future, over Young Thug.
Wait, we're not.
They
talking
have
about,
kids that sound exactly like them today.
No.
Hold on. When okay, we're jumping all criteria. We just said the top influential artists of the decade. Doesn't necessarily have to be just music.
Yeah.
That's what we originally were on. We
Remember,
keep jumping
what you're
criterias.
talking about, I'm not. What you're talking about is impact. I'm talking about influence. That's why I led with, yes, while he didn't have as many albums out and people didn't give him his flowers until after his passing is what shifted him and transcended him to make one of the biggest impacts in history. Yeah, so... Come on, let's keep it going. Pause. Eat me alive, like you said you were gonna do. Let's go. Let's go.
Be honest with you,
I'm almost inclined to put Chance the Rapper over him. Clean dude, leading by example.
I wouldn't use those words to
Yeah.
differentiate between Nips and Chance, but I will roll with you saying impact, because when I started listening to Nip in 2013, nobody was really on him, and he came out in 2011, and I was late.
Yeah.
You know,
I was late too. I think a lot of people were late.
Yeah.
But for the decade,
Yeah.
I don't know, and I'm a huge Nip fan. I don't know if
So am I.
So give me.
I love him.
So this is what we'll do, just to make. I'll give you guys a bone, right? Give me one artist.
Creepy
Give me
voice.
one artist that had a bigger impact than Nipsey.
over
give
the
me-
decade.
Chance the Rapper.
How? Tell me. Tell me how. I'm giving you facts. There were marches. He had Crenshaw lit. He still has a movement there. His whole strip is now. He has a whole strip dedicated to him and his corporation.
Okay.
Tell me one artist that has had a global impact the way that he has.
Okay, so before Nip died, right? Before he died, you would say that he was a bigger artist than Chance the Rapper?
That's not what I'm saying.
Or he was more influential than Chance
Not
the
what I'm
Rapper?
saying. It's not what I'm saying.
No, I'm just asking. Before he died, would you say he was more influential than Chance the Rapper?
I can make an argument and say yeah.
Okay. You would say he was more influential than, let's say, Future. And now, remember, it doesn't have to be positive influence. It could also be negative influence.
Yeah, I could.
More influential than Future.
I could. Think
Future
about.
kind of changed the landscape of music.
He did, but I'm talking about Nipsey changed culture, a mind state, a trained program behavior.
Unfortunately, that was after he died.
It doesn't matter. It still fits within the criteria of the decade. It doesn't matter. Does not matter. You can't name me another artist that had a bigger impact.
But then I'll be honest. I feel like we're almost giving credit to death.
sometimes you have to.
The Grim Reaper has to get the award.
Why do you think the story of Jesus and all of these other people that we look up to, it's their passing that what transcended us as human beings.
Now I'll agree with you on this. I think that if people were more on his stuff before he passed, 100%. I would agree with you 100%.
Okay, so
did
you
the
can't.
2000
I'm more so blaming the people.
I hear you. I just want to be clear. So
Yeah.
you guys can't name me another artist that had a bigger impact than
just
Nipsey,
did.
and
I did.
even in his death. Who?
I thought I named two. I'll even name
Future.
Young Thug over
named-
him. Had a bigger
he named
impact.
Future and Chance the Rapper.
And Young Thug.
What's the last thing Thug's done? What's the last thing Thug's
You're talking
done?
to the wrong man.
I know
because
I am. That's my-
I
what-
do not- I
but-
tried to listen to that. Young
Put
Thug
it
album,
this
I
way.
just couldn't do it.
Put it this way. Before Nipsey died, were you talking about? Do you think that you spoke about Nipsey more, or the fact that Young Thug wore a dress
I
in
didn't-
your lifetime?
Wait, hold on. Sorry, hold on. Just for 1 second. For context purposes, we're just talking about impact.
Influence.
No, because
No.
that word's being thrown. No,
Yeah.
I've heard impact in this conversation, influence. We need to stick to what are we talking about?
Y'all
We're
said
talking about
impact.
influence or we're talking about impact. Which one are we sticking to?
We decided to go with influence because we felt that impact was more so the numbers.
Yeah, 'cause
Okay,
you
so
said
we're gonna do
anybody
influence.
can
We're
make
gonna
a
stick
music.
to influence because
we chose influence.
So if it's
my whole defense has been based off of influence. I
Also-
keep saying, name me another artist that has had
Future.
more influence.
Future.
Future has had more influence than Nipsey Hussle.
Before
Past-
Nipsey
in the
died,
decade, yes.
what did Nipsey influence before he died?
What did he?
On a grand scale.
Black owned business.
No, he said all that. but-
Entrepreneurship.
He said all of that, but nobody was paying attention.
That's not true. We weren't paying attention.
Wait, but why does
us the people?
But why is influence?
And I'm guilty.
But I guess the basics is why is influence just categorized into just a section of what they did in the decade? As long as it happened in the decade, that's
what
all
I'm
that
saying.
matters.
That's all I'm saying. You're saying
want-
exactly what I'm
well,
saying.
no,
That's
I
my
see-
point, E.
But hold
That's
on.
my point.
Hold on, because now it's kind of like at the end of the decade, at the tail end, the last 6 months, Nipsey has been on the top of everybody's in the forefront of everybody's head and on the tips of their tongues because of his death, and because he was this underground dude who was so independent and who kept his independency. I said, "This is how I did it, and this is what influenced me." Hold on,
I'm not
'cause-
saying that.
But if you look at the totality of the decade,
Yep.
you have to take in consideration that Future, Chance the Rapper, these guys were bigger than him. Although he was on the 2011 freshman cover, a lot of people on the East Coast really weren't. It was only a select few that were bumping Nipsey Hussle. So over the past decade, not the latter part of the decade, it does fit your criteria of it's within the decade because it's the last 6 months of 2019. I get the technicality.
It's
But-
not a technicality. It's a fact. When you start a race, if you start at 10th place and you end at number 1, what does that matter?
But it's like
The numbers are
he took a
skewed.
taxi to the front, hopped out, and finished.
So just answer my question in layman's terms with a race. If I start a race and I'm in 10th place and it takes me 2 hours, whatever it does, but I make it to first place, does it matter?
Well, if that's the case, then I have to argue this: his death was bigger than anything that he said.
Nas, what do you have to say? I know you're trying to say something.
No, I was just trying to say that it's the consistency is what Wilson's trying to point out. I'm a big Nip fan,
He was saying powerful stuff.
Wait,
but
hold on. Let him finish. Let him
But people
finish.
aren't listening.
but it's the last 6 months. Everybody jumped on and said, "Oh, what is this?" It's not. It doesn't matter when you got turned on to him. It's like, okay, yeah, you got turned on to him in his death, and you've been bumping him ever since. But you weren't there at the beginning of the decade.
I'll make him a candidate for the 20s.
Yeah, so that's my whole point. I get both with what both sides are saying because it's within a decade. But if you're going with consistency and the question was who was influential over the decade. So that means you have to go back to the beginning of the decade
Yeah.
for that influence.
Well,
Now
at the
2019,
end,
he's at the top.
well, at the end of the day, influence, impact, best of, it's all subjective. At the end of the day, it's all subjective.
What the hell was the point of arguing?
Because y'all like to argue.
But
That's simple as that. But at the end of the day, it's subjective. It just shows you. No, because the best, right? You could say,
I don't think it's subjective though.
oh, yes, it can be
You can
subjective.
you
when
can
it comes
clearly-
to the music, especially music, it can be subjective.
Nah, because you can see the
How?
impact that like Kanye West has on the culture. Clear as day. Clear as day. You can see it.
But what is the culture? Narrow it down. What is the culture?
The way how people dress, the sound of music, anything.
That was a movie, wasn't it?
No,
Like-
you have to narrow down specifically what the culture. The problem is the culture. How you interpret what the culture is, someone else can interpret it differently. That's the thing. There's these vague wordings and phrases that we like to use. The culture and the best. Like, it's still subjective at the end of the day. You could look at the culture in the sense of
okay.
being fashion and music and stuff. I could look at culture being more of the social aspect of the culture. Like, at the end of the day, these things are subjective. The same way that people say, oh, quality. Quality is subjective too. There are people, of course, we have standards that are set, and who set those standards? People set those standards. There's certain things that are very subjective. Now, there are facts and information that can help you with your opinion, but it doesn't mean that has to be the overall consensus in terms of what people think.
So let me ask you this: when it comes to like Drake, you could see Drake's influence on today's music, right?
Yeah,
You can hear it.
Everybody's singing and
Like
rapping now.
you can hear it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think that we should just say that those things are subjective when, you know, there's actual.
But it's still relative.
No, but numbers, yeah, you can say he's the most streamed, sells the most, but it doesn't mean that he has to be the best artist in someone's mind. He doesn't have to.
No, I'm not saying he has to be the best artist, but you could hear other artists emulating him.
But that's still not the point.
That's influence.
No, that's not the point. The point is I could still not consider him the best.
Yeah,
being the best artist, I could say the numbers based off the numbers, but the whole point is these
we're not
keywords.
Talking about best artists.
No, but what I'm saying, what I'm bringing it back to is what you consider influential. What you consider influential it may not be the same. It's subjective still. You have facts that back it up. The point is, I'm trying to end this conversation. Say at the end of the day, we all have our own opinions, Wilson, and things are subjective when it comes to the best or the top, and we can go on because you all have your own opinions, and that's what subjective means. It's based off of your personal experience, your personal experience, your personal experience. So we're gonna end it. I'm Erin Ashley Simon. Make sure you hit the notification button. Also sign up for our newsletter. And guys, we will be dropping a video clip of our live show as well later on. We will let you guys know when that is. If you go join our newsletter, you will find out because that's where you get exclusive information. And also join our group chat. Sorry, I had to drop it off because we were going too long. I had to end it.
It's time to end it, and then I said it. She's getting
that vein popped up.
She said, "Wilson, I'm trying to end it, brother."
I'm Brandon Killabh. This is when you say who you are.
I'm sorry, I'm Wilson. Things got a little bit messy, but just so that you know, in Kentucky, it is law that a person must take a bath at least once a year.
And that's the way we're going to end it, brother.
Grassroots.
Grassroots.